Oh my goodness, I can't believe I can't remember the
Telegram.
yeah, Telegram, yeah.
Yep,
Thanks.
yep, yep.
Kaizen coaching.
You got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
we will.
I think he went to Japan on his mission.
Yeah, the idea on
He
this
was
is we'll go
That's
real
a
quick
Japanese
on the
word.
training, take a like 1 minute break, and then dive back in on the presentation. So, all right. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for jumping on tonight. It's a pleasure as always to be able to share with you a little bit about what is going on in the world of decentralization and blockchain and all those things. So we'll go ahead and dive into the training part real quick. And then for those that would like to stay on for the opportunity presentation, hey, that's great. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up my presentation here. All right. So, welcome to Kaizen Coaching. My name is Jeremy Jenkins, and I am excited to share with you tonight a little bit about blockchain, a little bit about decentralization, and why they matter. So, this is going to be divided. We're going to have several weeks of this. So, this is week number 1 of blockchain and decentralization class. So, first thing we need to know is that Web3 is different. It's beyond what we would call Web 2 and Web 1.0, right? So Web 1, if you think of it kind of like stages of a video game, right? Web 1 was read only. It was the basic internet when it was first launched back in the 1990s, right? Through the early 2000s. And that's all you could do. You had a webmaster who created the web pages and got them published, and then we as users could use the website. But that was it, right? There was no you couldn't change it, you couldn't comment really, you couldn't like anything, you couldn't post anything. It was more like a library where you read the books, but you couldn't write in them, right? You could only just kind of check them out for a brief period of time, read them, and then turn them back in, and that was it. Okay, so very basic. And you got information. It was great, and it was now online and digital, which is wonderful. But that was it. You were limited to just read only. Okay. Then the next thing that happened was they introduced what we call Web 2. So with Web 2, that's when you could now write. So you could read and write. Okay. That is a big difference. So now all of a sudden you had things like social media. Yeah. You had Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, and you could post photos, you could post videos, you could do comments, all those kinds of things. Right. But the difference is that you didn't own your stuff. Once you publish a picture to Facebook, once you publish a picture to Instagram, once you share a video on YouTube, you don't own that. The company does, right? The company is now the owner of that, and they have the right. You kind of give up your ownership, right? If you publish anything, they can do what they want. And not only that, they can block it, they can censor it, they can put you in Facebook jail, all those kinds of things, right? You don't own it, the company does. So kind of like a school notebook owned by the teacher, where you can write in it, but the teacher can easily erase things or take it away. Okay, so that's the big difference there. All right, now with Web 3, now we have ownership. Okay, Web 3 gives people property rights, the ability to own a piece of the internet. Okay, so here's another graphic kind of explaining that, right? Where you had Web 1.0, it was just Yahoo and Netscape, Internet Explorer, way back in the day, right? It seems not that long ago, but it kind of was. And then the Web 2.0, people consuming, creating content and everything. But now Web 3 is we have control of our data and our digital assets through decentralization, through blockchain and token economics. Okay, so now it's read, write, and own. right? So there's no single company that's in control. You own it. You control your money. You own your digital items. You own your identity. So it's your own notebook that no one can take. Okay. Very, very powerful. So it's an amazing concept, this whole idea of Web 3.0. And some people, I think, that's like way beyond what they ever expected, right? Like you think, whoa, wait a second. How can I own the internet? How can I actually own the stuff that's out there? It's kind of mind-boggling, mind-blowing in a way, right? And so it's kind of fun. And that's why we're so excited, because now, thanks to decentralization, we can have ownership. Okay. So here's some important things though. Decentralization, what Web 3.0 is not, is a get rich quick scheme. It's not just a single product, right? It's not magic money that prints itself, and it's not a replacement overnight, right? It's not something that all of a sudden you flip a switch and everybody's on Web 3.0 now. No, I mean, there's still Web 1, it still exists. You can still just find normal everyday web pages, right? Web 2 is still there, and it's not going away. It's not something that all of a sudden, boom, tomorrow, all of a sudden, all the Web 2 stuff is going to disappear and we're all going to be on Web 3. No, this is something that will take time for people to migrate to, okay? And will be optional, right? In fact, I can imagine Web 2 will just continue existing, but we now have the option to be part of Web 3, which is now new internet rules, ownership instead of permission, fewer middlemen, and more control for the users, right? So people are going to adopt it because of the fact that it creates more trust, it creates more ownership, right? There's a reward aspect to it, all those different things, right? So eventually we'll get there. Okay. Now, another important distinction that we want to talk about is the difference between what blockchain is versus what crypto and cryptocurrency is and what tokens are. This is very important because people tend to confuse them. So here's the simple version. The blockchain itself is just the digital notebook, okay, which everyone has a copy of, okay? So no one can erase the pages. Pages are added one at a time. It's like a shared class notebook where cheating is impossible because everybody has a copy of it, and so everybody knows what is on it, okay? Now, what cryptocurrency is the money, right? So the money that lives on the blockchain. So it could be Bitcoin, it could be XRP, it could be Ethereum, it could be Node coins. All of those things can be considered money that lives on the blockchain. Now, what's a token then? Well, a token is a coin, okay, that has a special job. So tokens can represent ownership. They could represent tickets, right? So maybe tickets to an event, tickets to see a movie or a show or something. Okay, they represent access, so they give you access to certain things. They could be considered points, right? So reward points, something that you get for your loyalty, that kind of stuff. So you could think of it like arcade tokens, where each one has a specific purpose, right? So coins are the money, but tokens now have additional utility to them that that allows them to be even more valuable. Okay, so now the idea is this ownership, right? Why is that important? Well, in the old ways of doing things, one company could control everything. And they decided who got access, who got removed, what you're allowed to do, all those things, right? For example, a bank would control your money, right? Social media controls your posts, okay? But in decentralization or the Web3 way, there is no single boss. The rules are written in code, right? Not just decided arbitrarily by someone, maybe they're just upset that day. And so they kind of, they kick you out. No, these are in code, it's codified, it's set, so you know what the rules are, and no one single person can go and just because they're having a bad day decide something, right? So for example, in Web3, if you have a wallet, right, a crypto wallet that holds your crypto coins, it's your wallet. So no one can freeze it without the rules allowing that. And so it's kind of like a neighborhood playground instead of a private one. Okay. So this is very, very important. That's why it's so attractive for a lot of people, is that it's my stuff, my data, my wallet, my money, right? My digital content, whatever that is, and I have control of it. And I don't have to be frustrated because some third party decided they didn't like what I was doing, or they didn't like who I was, or they, it was, oh, now it's, it becomes personal, right? Oh, hey, that person said something, or, freedom of speech stuff. That's the power of Web3, is that no one person can decide it. It's the community that controls everything. All right. So why are institutions paying attention to this, right? Why it's not just us as individuals that are learning about this whole decentralization thing. It's companies, it's big businesses, right? Banks, governments, big companies, investment firms, they all care because Web3 can move money faster. It reduces fraud. It lowers the costs. It works 24/7 all the time, right? They don't have to close in the middle of the night or in the weekends. And it can settle transactions pretty much instantly. So, for example, before, if you want to send money using the bank, it could take several days, right? Just an example of that. When we do payroll at your job, right? Usually they're doing payroll on Wednesday so that it'll show up on Friday, right? It can take several days for the whole payroll thing to go through that process and show up in your bank. Well, with Bitcoin, with blockchain, with crypto, it's pretty much instant. It's, you send the transaction, it's just done. Okay. So really, really powerful. It can be done in minutes or even seconds. Okay. Now, the other thing about big institutions is they're not doing this for the memes, right? They're not looking at meme coins. They're not trying to play around, trying to, guess what coin is going to go up and down and all that stuff. No, what they're interested in is the infrastructure, the payment, the record keeping, the ownership system. In other words, utility, right? That is the key thing. So you can see all these companies, every single one of these, where they're at, right? Some companies are just getting into it. They're just researching it. Others are testing it out. Others are actually in full development of it. And others already have it fully in production, right? All these companies here on the right, they're using it today. It's live and going. So what does that mean? Well, here's the big question. How do we get ownership, right? How do we start with this? How do we participate before the masses do? If you're ready to jump in with the future, into the future with Web3, stick around, because we're going to be sharing one of the easiest and most lucrative ways to participate coming right up. So we'll go ahead and take a little 30-second break here, maybe 1 minute. If you need to, go get a drink or, go answer the doorbell or something, go ahead and do that. We'll be right back with the next version or the next part of this presentation, which talks a little bit about how we can actually take advantage of this and monetize it and improve our lives starting right now.
Right.
All right. We'll go ahead and put pause on this for a second. Okay. And yes, for those that wonder, streaming is recording. So for those looking in the chat there, yeah, it'll be recorded onto YouTube. We'll get that out as soon as we're done. All right. So if you do have people that might be interested in hearing about how to monetize blockchain and Web3 in their lives, go ahead and send them a message, because we're going to dive into that in about 30 seconds. and send out those messages. I'll send one out myself. Okay, we ready? Everybody ready? Let's do this. Go ahead and pull up the slides for the next portion of our presentation tonight. Okay, welcome everybody to the Cirrus Networks opportunity presentation. Again, my name is Jeremy Jenkins, and it is a pleasure to be able to share with you a little bit more about how blockchain and Web3 can benefit all of us, and how we can get in before the masses, right? And when we're talking about before the masses, we're talking about, like, just imagine that you were in 1995 when the internet was brand new and you had the opportunity to grab some of the hot domains back then, right? Like pets.com or computers.com or something like that. And you were able to reserve those and have those and be able to start marketing using those right before the .com explosion, right? That's what we're talking about. Okay, now I have to put this disclaimer up because everything we're going to talk about tonight is about potential opportunity and the option to be able to do this as a home-based business instead of thinking of this as an investment opportunity or some kind of passive income. Nope. What we're talking about tonight is being part of a blockchain, being part of an amazing reward system, and being able to use that potentially to have a home-based business if you so choose, but that's completely optional. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in and really understand how this is the future, right? It's amazing what the internet has done. If you're around back then in the 90s and early 2000s, it was one of those things where there was people that still thought that it was just a fad, right? They thought that maybe it would last for a few years and then go away. But that's not what happened. We all know now that people cannot live without the internet. It's in our hands all day long with our phones, right? When if we lose our phone, we leave it behind or something, we freak out because our entire lives now exist online. They exist with our phones, and we can hardly live without it. So the world's changing and it's going decentralized. So people are starting to realize, hey, you know what? I'm kind of tired of these big companies having all my data, having all my information, advertising to me, right? They do. They listen in. It's crazy. You'll have your phone off, laying face down on the dinner table, and you'll be having a discussion about something. And then you go to pick up your phone and look at it. Next thing you know, you're getting ads for stuff you talked about, right? They literally listen in on your conversations and send you advertising based on what they think you're interested in. So that's what they do. They're profiting from our information. They like to silence us if they don't like what we're saying, right? Banks do the same thing. They profit from our money while offering very little in return. So it's going to be a new world, a new, fair, transparent, and decentralized community that's starting to come about. And we get to be part of it right from the very beginning. So why does it matter? Well, we're seeing the initial pieces of decentralization with several different companies, from Uber, right? Who would have thought that you could use your own car to give people rides and get paid for it? Who would have ever thought that you could lend your car out to people that want to drive it, right? Like on Turo. Who would ever thought that if you had a spare bedroom or a mother-in-law apartment or something, that you could rent that out to people without having to get a license from Hilton or Marriott or something? And it's just amazing what the power of decentralization is done, the technology of it. But the difference is you can't own these companies, right? Those companies, it's still a little bit like Web 2, right? Social media where you read and write and stuff, but you can't really own it, okay? But through blockchain integration, you can actually now have ownership of the internet and stuff you're involved in by becoming what we call a digital landlord. And you now can benefit from your participation in the community. So, what does that mean exactly? Well, let's review again, real quick, what centralized versus decentralized. Today, most people are still living centralized, right? Whether that's they have their bank account, they're using Google, they're using the government for all their stuff. And those entities can censor or shut it down. And you still have to trust them and hope that they don't manipulate anything, right? And there is still a single point of failure. But when things are decentralized and they're on the blockchain, it's all verified through thousands of independent computers. It's almost impossible to shut down. You can verify it all yourself, and there's not any single point of failure. So, how does it actually work, though? Well, here's an example of just sending money, right? So, let's assume that Alice wants to send Bob a Bitcoin, okay? And that would be awesome. I wish that Alice was sending me a Bitcoin. But anyway, she initiates the transaction, right? And it gets sent out to all the thousands of computers, what we call nodes, that are on the blockchain. And all of those nodes check to verify that Alice actually has a Bitcoin to send, right? You got to make sure. And they all agree. And so once everybody agrees, then it says, yep, you can do it. And so then it sends it to Bob, and Bob now gets the Bitcoin in his wallet, right? And it's added as a permanent record on the blockchain, and that transaction is now complete. And all the computers verified it. So if there was any question, right, if Alice later said, oh, no, nope, I never sent that Bitcoin. Well, guess what? All of the thousands of computers would say, yes, you did. You sent it. And Bob has it now. There's no way to go in and cook the books, right? There's no way to commit fraud. There's no way to manipulate anything because everybody verified it. And so it's now real, right? And that is really, really cool because now it can be used for way more than just money, okay? We're talking about, obviously, investment stuff. BlackRock and Fidelity, they're doing the largest tokenized fund right now, over $1 billion. It's happening now. This is not something that's off in the next 5-10 years. It's happening right now. Switzerland and Singapore and the UAE, they're all tokenizing government bonds. Walmart and IBM are doing their supply chain of their products on the blockchain, so you can know exactly where your food is coming from. Ondo Finance, Centrifuge, they're doing billions in real world assets like invoices and treasury bills, all tokenized. And countries are experimenting with tokenized real estate here in the United States, in Germany, Australia. Tokenized real estate, okay? How cool is that? You don't have to worry about title insurance anymore. This train has already left the station, okay? But we get to be part of the first ones to use it. And it's going to be amazing because literally everything will be tokenized and connected by a blockchain one day. Everything will, because of the power of it, because people want trust, because people want to know that things are actually how they are, right? I think we all can agree that there's nothing more frustrating than not knowing what is real and what actually is happening. And it could be from everything, just like Henry Zhang, the CEO of DigiFT, said, Amazon in the beginning, all they did was sold books, but now they sell everything. Okay. Well, tokenization is going to do the same thing. It's going to start with simple stuff like trusted assets and money, but it's going to scale into the complex, and literally everything we do will be on a blockchain, which is awesome. That's wonderful. Even banking. The whole entire United States banking system is about to go blockchain. It's way beyond the talk phase, right? We actually have the FDIC is proposing stablecoin stuff for banks. We got the Fed is actually talking about liquidity rules and stuff, like the Genius Act that just passed, right, last year. So all kinds of stuff. JP Morgan's talking about it. Okay. Bank of America is talking blockchain. It's happening whether we like it or not. And the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, is giving green light for everything from stocks and bonds and treasuries, all of it on the blockchain. Okay. So yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to touch our lives one way or another. It just will. So you might be asking, okay, I see that this is the future, but how does this actually benefit me? Or how can I be involved in something so technical, right? Because it does seem technical, right? Well, that's the beauty of what we're doing with Cirrus Networks. We're actually taking this into the everyday person. And the first way to think of it is through rewards and loyalty. We all love getting free stuff, right? I love getting free stuff. That's why I go to McDonald's and I go to Burger King, all these different places. And I've learned that, hey, if I just use my little app and I record my purchase, guess what? I'm going to get some points. I'm going to get some kind of reward, and I'm going to get free food. And so I'm going to keep going back because I want my free food. Well, it doesn't matter if it's stars at Starbucks or the points at my McDonald's rewards points, right? Or maybe even Delta Sky Miles to get a free flight. Most companies today have some kind of program to keep us all coming back for more, right? That's pretty typical nowadays. So what we're trying to do is take the rewards and loyalty and put it into the future thanks to blockchain. We now have this huge advantage where we can tokenize loyalty. So the problem with typical or traditional loyalty programs is they can only be redeemed in their location, right? Stars from Starbucks can only be redeemed at Starbucks. Sky Miles from Delta can only be redeemed at Delta. And they can expire, right? They can say, oh, they're done. You waited too long. They're gone. Well, what if the rewards that you earn could not only be used on everyday services like mobile, streaming, conferencing, cashback shopping, travel, and more, but on top of that, what if you could actually convert them into dollars, right? Wow. You say, you know what? I've got 10,000 McDonald's points, right? But I can only go get maybe a free Big Mac or something. But if I could convert those into dollars, I could use them anywhere, right? And that is what we're talking about. So introducing the Nodi blockchain offered by Cirrus Networks. This is a powerful layer one blockchain that has AI integrated products that we all use on a daily basis that also offers daily rewards, right? So it's all built on decentralized blockchain for all the protections and sovereignty and transparency that we love, but it gives us rewards for our participation in the groundbreaking community. So there's 3 ways to be involved. You can have ownership, you can just be a participant, or you can actually be a promoter, okay? So we like to say, live your life and get rewarded. So as an owner, by hosting a Nodi node, you play an important role in supporting and securing the whole blockchain network, right? You get to have the opportunity to verify all the transactions on your personal node. And with that, you also get voting rights on the future projects and enhancements. Now, for participation, maybe you don't want to be an owner, but you just want to get those rewards, right? You just want to get the loyalty points that you can use anywhere. Well, that's great because the more you participate, the more rewards you can get. And then, of course, if you want to do this as a home-based business, opportunity, a side gig, right? A little side job, another stream of income, then you can do that too through the Cirrus affiliate program, which is an amazing way to help grow the community and earn now money as a thank you for sharing. So how do you do ownership? Okay, so if you purchase a Nodi node, you now have your own personal generator in the blockchain network. Okay. So it's kind of gives the blockchain its power, right? And hosting it is what fuels the blockchain in the ecosystem. And it's pretty seamless, right? It's just one-time purchase. You set it up, you host it, and now you're an owner. You have ownership in this amazing community. Okay. So ownership, think of it like this. Would you rather have the milk or would you rather have the cow that gives the milk? Would you rather have the apples or would you rather have the orchard that produces the apples? Would you rather have the corn or would you rather have the field, right, where the corn grows every single year? Or would you rather have the golden eggs or would you rather have the goose that lays those golden eggs? So that's the difference with ownership. You now own it and you can now get something for that all the time, over and over and over again. So pretty cool. How do you get a node? Well, a full node right now is currently priced at $1,197. A half node is $597. A quarter node is $297. And then they have mini nodes that are $100 each. Okay. So you pick wherever you feel like you can afford. Obviously, the more node you own, the more rewards you're going to get. Okay. So kind of important, right? It's, would you rather have the whole field or the half of a field? Would you rather have the whole orchard or just half the orchard, right? So it just depends on, but wherever you can do it, that's fine. And whatever you can afford is great. Now you do have to keep it alive, right? So your goose, you would have to feed it and give it water. Your field, you have to water it and put fertilizer, right? Your orchard, you have to water it and make sure that you take care of the bugs and whatever, so they're not eating all the apples. That is what we would call hosting. So it does have a cost. It's really inexpensive though. It's only $1.97 a month or $23 for a whole year on a full node. Okay, a mini node is actually only 75 cents a month. So very reasonable to keep your node up and going. All right. So once you've got your node, now you're part of this amazing community, which is the Node blockchain, is all the digital landlords, okay, who have purchased nodes and were collectively approving and managing all the activities and transactions on the blockchain. So we like to call that being a digital landlord. Why? Well, the digital landlord analogy is kind of like owning an apartment building, right? So here's another analogy to think about how this works. So let's say there's an apartment building and it has 10 apartments in it, right? 10 units. So if you bought the full apartment building, that would be like owning the full node, and you now get the rent money from all 10 units. Okay, 100% of the total rent. If you were to buy a half node, it would be like owning 5 of the units. You're only getting 50% of the rent. And a mini node is like owning 1 single unit. Okay, and now you can stack them. You could buy 10 mini nodes over time, and that would be the equivalent of owning a full node, right? So, you can get there. It's pretty fun. Okay, now let's say you don't have the money or you're just not quite there yet. You're not sure you want to be an owner. You just want to participate, right? Well, great news, because that's what makes the Node blockchain so powerful, is that we offer X1 micronodes, which are everyday services that we all know and love. We call them SaaS services, which is software as a service. And it's just a monthly subscription to something that you would do anyway. For example, there's a product called Safe, which is similar to Dropbox or Google Drive or Apple iCloud, right? It's digital storage for your pictures and your data, your files, all that kind of stuff, to protect them from getting damaged or lost or hacked or whatever. Really great service. Okay. There's streaming, there's travel, there's online shopping and discount shopping, there's cell phone service, and there's meetings, just like we're doing right now as I speak. Just doing a meeting like this, doing a webinar, that is part of this ecosystem. So all of these different services are considered micro nodes. They pay out daily rewards, daily tokens, just like a full node would, except It's actually a little bit different, the mechanism behind it, but you're still getting daily rewards as long as you continue to use the service. Okay. So very fun, very rewarding. And what's cool about this is that you could think of it this way. It's kind of like a mixed use apartment. So if you had a node, or you were a node owner, right? And you had a mixed use apartment that had actual retail at the bottom, whether that's a restaurant or maybe a insurance place, or all kinds of different things you could have on that bottom, on that first floor, right? Well, now you get to participate not only the rent that you're getting paid from your tenants, but you're also getting a share of all the commerce that is happening in the storefronts on the bottom. Okay, so that's what these X1 nodes are like. They're like these retail fronts on the bottom of a mixed use apartment. So that's what gives it its utility. Okay, it's all about the consumption of utilities and services that people use every single day. These subscriptions become the backbone of this economic structure that we're so excited about with the blockchain community. So, and what's really cool, because you might think, oh, well, that's great that you have cloud storage, or streaming or travel or whatever, but why would people pick that over where they could get it elsewhere? Right. And that's a valid point. That's actually a very legitimate question. Why would people make the move and switch to using the products from Cirrus versus just going and getting it direct from the vendor? Right. Well, we call it the triple advantage, where they're better products, better pricing, and better rewards. Right. So let's just kind of analyze this for a second. Let's look at Safe. Okay, so this is that cloud storage I was talking about. It's $9.99 a month, $10 a month. So if you were to compare Safe, Node powered, to any other cloud storage out there, you would see that it not only competes on price, right, but it's also better. Why? Well, number one, for that same exact price, okay, you're getting 6 terabytes with Safe Node powered. But any other company for that same price point, you'd only be getting maybe 1 to 3 terabytes. Okay, so it's way more storage. The other thing is all the security and privacy. If you're on Dropbox, you're on Google, or any of the others, there's no guarantee that those big companies won't be kind of sniffing around in your folders, trying to see what kind of data you've got, right? Training their AI systems and all that. And with Safe Node powered, that's not going to happen. It is military grade encryption and full privacy and all that kind of stuff. So better product, more storage, more space, better price, and you're getting those daily crypto rewards that nobody else is paying you. Dropbox doesn't pay you crypto. Google doesn't pay you crypto. Apple doesn't pay you crypto. But guess what? Node does, right? So triple threat, pretty amazing. So how much you get? You're actually getting 20 daily rewards every single day. Every single day that you have your Safe subscription, you're getting daily rewards. And if you tell a friend or family member or somebody, colleague about it, and they sign up, guess what? You're going to get 200 rewards just for the referral. That's pretty fun, right? Well, what about Meet and Node powered? Okay, so this is comparable to like Zoom or Google Meet or several of the others out there. But guess what? For $20 a month, okay, this is the exact same price that Zoom would charge you, right? So Zoom, theirs is like 18 something or other per month. Meet and Node Power is $19.95 a month. So comparable pricing, but Zoom only gives you 100 attendees, where Meetin gives you 300. Meetin gives you unlimited branded meetings and webinars, where Zoom doesn't give you any. You get 100 gigabytes of cloud storage with Meetin, where Zoom only gives you 10. Okay. With Meetin, you get multi-channel social streaming. You get 2 bonus meeting rooms. You get no limits on your duration. You get language translation. if you were to do that on Zoom, they charge you another $30 a month just to have language translation. Okay. Built-in teleprompter, customizable widgets, breakout rooms, interactive web pages, all these things, custom CTA buttons, okay, feature chat messages, all those things. If you were to add all the features up that you get with Meet and NotiPower for just $19.95 a month, at Zoom, it would cost you almost $500 a month. So better product? Yes. Cheaper? Yes. And daily crypto rewards? Yes. Zoom's not paying you daily crypto. Of course not, right? So how much are you getting? Well, with Meetin, you're getting 40 daily rewards every single day, every single day, every single day. You log in, you see, oh, I got another 40 rewards today. Yay. If you refer somebody, 400 rewards. But not only do you get it for just having your subscription, but for the activities involved. By hosting this meeting tonight, I get an extra 10 rewards just for doing this meeting, for the activity of it. And the first time I logged in to see the platform, I got 200 rewards. The first time I watched the training video, the intro video, I got 200 rewards. And the first time I created a widget inside my platform, I got 200 rewards. So lots of ways to benefit from the Meetin, and it's, again, a triple threat. Wow. Okay. Now, the third way to be involved with this, if you so choose, is promotion, to be a promoter. Okay. So it's one thing to say, hey, that's cool that, these products and services, I'm using them anyway. I might as well switch because it's the triple threat. I want to be an owner. That's great, because I want to take advantage of all of the people signing up for these different products and services, and I want to be able to be rewarded for that and have some ownership in that. That's awesome. But if you need some now money, if you need some dollars, right, where you want to get paid today and not wait for the rewards to accumulate, well, guess what? You can do that through the affiliate or associate program, because relationship marketing is the most powerful way to get the word out about something. And the company knows that. And so they're offering this to us. If we want to go out and be ambassadors, right? We want to go out and share the good news about blockchain and about these amazing software as a service products. Well, guess what? We're going to be able to earn money from that. Okay. So if you refer whether it's a node or one of the services to somebody, you get paid in dollars. So word of mouth marketing is really, truly the most powerful way to spread the word and grow the community. Because let's just take this example. How much more likely would you be to go try out a new restaurant if your friend recommended it to you versus just seeing an ad for it somewhere, right? You're going to trust your friend. You know your friend. You like your friend. And so if your friend says, hey, you got to go try out this new taco shop, then yeah, the chances of you going and trying out that new taco shop go through the roof, right? Because you trust your friend and you want to be able to talk about it. And 25% of Gen Z consumers, so the younger generation today, they discover their new brands and products and services through word of mouth. Okay. They're not looking at billboards. They're not watching TV. They're not doing any of that stuff. They're on their phones and they're seeing what their friends are doing. And so if their friend says, go check out this new software, or this new store, or this new whatever, they're doing it. It is the most trusted recommendation source on the planet. Okay. And so the company is going to reward us greatly for sharing. How? Well, there's two ways to earn. Okay. So you can be an affiliate or you can be an associate. It's free to join, right? So as an affiliate, you just share this with a few friends, neighbors, whoever, and that's it. You don't have to worry about, team building. If you're not into that kind of thing, of managing a team and growing out a community and everything, that's okay. You can just sign up for free, be an affiliate, and just share this with a few friends here and there and whatever. And if they decide to do it, great. You're going to make 20% of if they buy a node, or 20% if they use the services or whatever. Okay. But if you are a networker, if you consider yourself a professional and you want to take this to the next level and you want to multiply and use leverage to grow out a team and have the potential to earn on thousands of people as it grows, as you share it. Maybe you share it with 5 to 10 people, and then they share it with 5 to 10 people. It just kind of goes viral, right? And you now have thousands of people in your organization. You can do that too. All right. So it's super simple, free to join, earn 20% on anybody that you recommend that buys something or gets a subscription, and it's paid out the following Friday every week. Okay. So for example, you sell a full node, and guess what? You're going to make $360 because somebody bought a full node. Pretty cool. Now, if you build out a team, right, if you start to enroll people and help them to enroll people and whatever, well, it could literally turn into thousands of people all getting subscriptions on, whether it's the travel or the shopping or the meeting or whatever. And if you combine that with all of the daily rewards from your own nodes, plus the referral rewards from the people on your team, guess what? You're now getting daily payout on these tokens that you can potentially convert into cash. And so daily pay, pretty awesome. All right. So how does it work on the referral? Well, if you actually tell somebody to buy a full node and you're an affiliate, guess what? You're not only going to make that $360, but you're going to get 2,000 rewards as well, right? And a half node is 1,000 rewards, quarter node is 500, and a mini is 200. So you just kind of do the math on that. If, let's assume that the token was a penny. Well, guess what? Okay, so 2,000 rewards, $20, right? But if it was 10 cents, it's, oh, wow, okay, that could be kind of valuable. Or if it was $1, what if the token was worth $1? Well, that would be an extra $2,000 for somebody buying a full node. So pretty awesome, combining the dollars and the tokens rewards. And you just think about that daily, weekly, and monthly payout just for being an associate with Cirrus Networks. It's all about timing, my friends. The whole world is becoming decentralized. It's happening with us or without us. So, are we going to jump on that train, or are we going to get left behind? Almost everything is using blockchain nowadays, or soon will in the next few years. We are pioneering this category creating digital landlordship where 93% of the world has yet to adopt the technology. So your timing could not be better. You are literally in on the beginning of something that will change the world. It's literally going to change the world. Okay. And you get to be part of that in the beginning if you so choose. It's so valuable. Future is now. You can secure your place in this Node blockchain revolution just by joining this community, reshaping technology and power, embracing that sovereignty, that transparency, that power of participation, right? And you can contribute to the decentralized future for all by saying no to the big tech companies and yes to your future. And you can do it with as little as $10 per month with daily payout. It's so affordable. This is global, worldwide. People in Africa, people in Australia, people in the Philippines, all over the world are participating. They're staking their claim. They're becoming digital landlords because they can. It's free to join and as little as $10 a month to participate and be rewarded. So my friends, get back to whoever invited you to watch this. Ask your questions, get your answers, and join us today because this is happening and people are going to jump on board, and you don't want to be sad if, all of a sudden you go to somebody and say, hey, want to join the Cirrus with me? And they say, ooh, I already did with somebody else. There's nothing worse than that. So go ahead and get the word out there, share it with everybody, and we will see you in the future of blockchain. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.